So, when I was originally, when we were all originally taught about BPC, it was all taught to us oral is for your gut because the BPC is going to touch your gut. And then injectable is for your musculoskeletal tissues because you can inject it right over where the area of pain is. And I heard that and I was just like, this doesn't make sense physiologically. And I went and looked at all of the research, and every single study that has ever, and these are all animal studies, obviously, but every single animal study that has ever compared route of administration between oral in the drinking water, between the peritoneal injections, which is kind of like an IV sub-Q, like it's a little different pharmacokinetics, or sub-Q injection, there was never a statistical difference in healing rates between the three. Tendon studies, the ulcer studies, it didn't matter how they gave the animals the BPC, they all just got better. The first limitation is that all of these are acute injuries. And I think there's a big difference with acute injuries versus chronic injuries. I think BPC works exponentially better in an acute injury compared to a chronic injury. And I think just when we look at the animal literature, we see that. And we see that too with, just clinically with our patients. I've seen miraculous musculoskeletal healing with oral. And so I don't think it's, where it has to be injectable if you have musculoskeletal, and it has to be oral if you have a gut issue. And then so while we're on the bro science topic, this is how our whole conversation started, is a lot of people think that you have to inject the BPC or any peptide directly over the area of injury in order for it to work better or have maximum effect. And so, when we do a subcutaneous injection, we've got our skin, we've got our subcutaneous fat, then we've got this layer of fascia, which is relatively impermeable, not completely impermeable. Then you've got another muscle, then you've got more fascia. And, when you actually measure it, you've got about anywhere from 2 to 3.5 centimeters of tissue from your skin, where you do a subcutaneous injection, down to inside the joint. So let's say you've got some arthritis or you've got a labral tear, and you think that doing a sub-Q injection over the area of pain is going to magically work its way down to that joint. It physically doesn't happen, right? If it did happen, then doctors all over the world would just be doing subcutaneous cortisone injections over the area of pain. They wouldn't need to use ultrasound or x-rays to put steroids or stem cells or, PRP inside of joints, inside of tendons or ligaments. You could just do it sub-Q, right? The other pushback I have, and because some people have said, well, maybe it's different with peptides because they're just really small molecules and they'll travel very far. And one of my counter arguments to that is, well, if that were the case, then I feel like diabetics who are insulin dependent would have really jacked muscles right over the areas that they do all their injections, because insulin is the most anabolic hormone there is.
Yep.
And so if you were doing sub-Q injections over your belly, over the muscle there for 20 years, you would think that those abs would be huge from the anabolic effect, and they're not. Placebo effects, yes, that could be why some people notice that. And I love placebo and I love belief effects. I just won't ever tell somebody that, yes, that scientifically makes sense, knowing in my head that it's just a belief effect, because that's just not good evidence and good science.
So are you usually starting oral or injectable, or?
I usually start oral, and I would say probably 90% of what we do in practice now is oral, because it's, especially if we're also doing other peptides that are injectable. So thymosin beta-4 is injectable, GHK copper, pentacin polysulfate. And so 90% of what we do with BPC is oral.